every certain things which I am happy and ready to sign up for. But I wasn't, I guess, expecting the fact that I would not be meeting someone else's standards.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Boat 91. We're talking to you today about Olajuwon and Katina. I'm gonna ask this question: does he have a point? Does Ola have a point in the case of him and Katina? I'm gonna break down a few of the scenes, little tidbits here and there of what he said and what they've kind of spoken about in regards to, especially the cooking aspect, and just see, does he have a point in regards to what he's requiring and what he's asking for, or is he doing too much? We'll discuss that on this particular review. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification that uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the screens out there are hot, okay? Let's get into the video. I don't want to waste much time. Literally, you just heard her say, I never thought I was going to have to meet somebody's standards. And that's why I want to start the conversation, because my question is whether these standards are going to become abusive or not. And what I mean by, and the difference between abusive and not abusive, is kind of a thin line, right? Having standards is not an issue, and actually being high standards is also not an issue. The trouble is, how do you go about implementing your standards? Now, if he says, listen, my standard is I want a woman to cook, listen, that's me. It is what it is. We can all rock with it. It is the hot and cold that we get from him. The woman is trying to cook. The woman is trying to at least do something. Now, it may not be up to your standards just yet, but this is where positive reinforcement comes in. A whole negative reinforcement is going to look bad. And the negative reinforcement is actually where the abuse actually starts, because many times the cycles start off with a request and then berating and then a beat down and then critique and then other things that come into it, which don't encourage the person to grow, but rather put the person down, right? We also get the hot and cold. Okay, I know you're growing. At the same time, you get the person is, but you don't know what you're doing. Bro, we got to choose one struggle here. And when we do that hot and cold, that also can become abusive. But I want to focus more on what I'm talking about here, which is, does he have a point? Okay, does he have a point in regards to himself and Katina? I want to say this is also as well. We are yet to see the vulnerability of our boy here, Ola, because we're still waiting on Isaac. Who is Isaac? What has he done? Right? Because we haven't got that from him yet to her. We haven't got that from him. And that for me also is in my thinking process. I'm like, why are you hiding that piece of you? You know what I mean? Why are you hiding that piece of that history of you? Now, I would say also at the same time, again, I have to also be fair, because when women go through traumatic events, where they don't we don't force them to share immediately. We say, take your time. Now, unless Isaac is a traumatic event, which I don't think many of us would class you sleeping with many women and do what you're doing as a traumatic event, I think it's very difficult to say the same thing, right? Okay. What I would say at the start of my kind of analysis of this is, if you do go to the store to buy groceries and you come back with bread and milk alone, I will look at you some way. I have to ask that question. No, we have to be real now. Put aside how we feel about O's behavior, because we all agree it's getting towards abusive. Some of you think it's abusive. That's fine. But let's put that aside to deal with what's been said. The last episode or the episode before that, old girl went to the grocery store and bought bread. Bought bread. Do you know what I'm saying? So that to me says, oh, how you don't know that you should go to a grocery store and buy more than just bread. Now, of course, this does not mean you should berate the person and nuke them. Rather, this is a learning experience and she can grow from it. So then you positively reinforce her as the head of the home, if you call yourself that. You positively reinforce her because she's at least trying. Now, it might not be up to, because this gave me triggering. It gave me dad to son triggers. What I mean by that, if you've been in an African household, listen, you bring your homework to your parents, you say, Dad, I don't understand this, or Mom, I don't understand this. And then before you know it, the cane is out. What? The belt is out. What? If you don't know how to get it right, you're going to get a lash. Oh, what kind of stupid answer is that? You get a lash. And before you know it, nobody wants to bring their homework to their parents anymore. Because where is a positive reinforcement? There isn't any. It's negative. And in a sense, it can become abusive, if you want to call it that, right? Um, and that's what we're talking about. That's what I'm seeing from O right now with Katina. It's like she's bringing the homework to you of the food, and then instead of you just saying, "Hey, look, bread and thing is not the only one we should be doing. There is actually more stuff we go and get. Let's go together. I'll go with you, just in case you don't know it, right? And go on along with it. Now, of course, nobody wants to necessarily hold somebody's hand. That is a difficult thing. Let's keep it a buck. If you're having to teach somebody these basic skills, if that is the truth, then that is a problem. Let's keep it 100. I'm not gonna pretend as if it isn't. Let me just go to the clip I wanted to bring you guys into because I think we get a little bit of Katina here as well.
Okay, I am getting ready to go food shopping for me and my husband. I am used to just shopping for myself. I'm not.
Okay, so I'm used to shopping for myself, but if I come back with bread and milk when it's meant to be for both of us, I'm gonna look at myself some way. Okay, now I think also additionally, of course, you might not know every item you need to buy. And that is where, again, I keep saying that the balance of grace has to be there. Like, come on. Like, if I don't know you and we're just now going to shop, don't expect me to get every item that you expected me to get without telling me what I was meant to get. That's madness, okay? But let's play a little bit more.
Not used to having to shop for a man, and especially someone who wants everything from scratch. I go out to eat usually, so.
And this is where grace has to also come in. This is why I said that he's doing too much, right? And I definitely hear him on the point of the cooking thing. Yes, you want your wife to cook. You want your wife to be able to cook a meal from scratch. Listen, hey, I would love that. I would love that. I would love my wife to do that. Now, I'm also very much aware. Look, I never ask of people stuff that I couldn't do. If you're willing to do that, I appreciate that. I've had girlfriends who've wanted to cook for me. You know what I mean? And I very much appreciate that. I've never forced it though, because I think to myself, I don't want it to be an obligation, because if you obligate me to do something, I'm going to be pissed. So I'm not going to live a life that I wouldn't ask you to do something that I wouldn't do myself, or at least I wouldn't obligate you to do something that I feel like I would be feeling pissed if you obligated me to do something. All right?
It's definitely a transition for me. Hopefully he's not on my back when I get back that I didn't get enough stuff.
Now, I'm gonna share something, my own experience here, just about being very intense. And here's the thing: I remember a situation where I was dating someone, and I was, in my faith, my Christian walk. I take my Christian walk real serious. You know what I'm saying? I still do. And obviously, I personally had studied the word, got deep with it. I got my relationship with God in a place that's deep. You understand? And I did this on my own. And because I did it on my own, I also expect other people to do stuff on their own. I expect you to have your own relationship with God. I expect you to read your Bible. I expect you to pray. I expect you to commune with God on your own. Now, we can join forces, but I expect you to do that on your own, and you come to the table. Now, when I was dating this particular person, I wasn't really seeing that. Similar to how our boy here is saying, basic level. I'm also looking at a person like basic level. Come on, like this should be your bread and butter. You should be doing this. Like, if I'm here, you should do this anyway. If I'm not here, you should be doing this anyway. Like, irrespective of whether I'm here or not, this should be your bread and butter. And I didn't feel like the person was necessarily doing that. And I'm looking at the person like, then do you really love the Lord the way you saying you love the Lord? I mean, like, is that what you really mean? Like, are you sure you love the Lord? Like, do you really love the Lord? Right? I started questioning them. And I, similarly enough, just like him, started becoming this parental figure where I'm like, even if I don't say it, I'm sure my facial expressions were showing I was judging. Like, come on, man. Like, yo, like, so what? It's been a few weeks you ain't read your word. Oh man, come on. Why are you struggling in this area? Like, yo, if I get, and my thought process was, if I get involved, you're gonna see me as a crutch. I don't want you to see me as a crutch. I don't want you to lean on me like that. I want you to have that your own fire and your own desire, and then we can meet, right? So some of me understands where O is coming from, right? Some of me understands where O is coming from. The old me understands where O is coming from. I want you to understand this. The old me understands where O is coming from, because I have also been in that same situation. And similar enough to those situations, When we were reading the word and looking at it, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, I feel like you're not really fully deep in it. And even when we're involved together, I'm like, I don't feel like you're really there. I don't feel it. And I was also doing the same. I was doing a taskmaster. Like, I could pray for 2-3 hours. We pray for 15 and you're tired. I'm like, 15 minutes and you tired? Like we ain't got more to say to the big man upstairs. Like, we ain't grateful for a lot. I'm grateful for 15 minutes, let alone praying for 15 minutes. And that's how my mind was thinking. Right? Remember, and I think maybe going through something similar, when you've achieved certain things with yourself without anybody helping you, it can make you think that everyone must be the exact same way when it comes to their drive, ambition, and motivation in certain areas. The cooking and the cleaning, right? The hyper extension, the hyper energy that he has for it. The way he's like, you know what? I stood up at night and I cleaned the floors, and where were you? Like, I needed you to stand beside me. I, I can I can hear where he's coming from, but I'm looking at it going, yeah, the old me also said the exact same things. Maybe not cleaning floors, but maybe in terms of like, come on, man, like, I read my word. You should read your word. You should get up in the morning and read it early in the morning. Have you read it? And I would be like this: have you read your word today? No. And then in my head, I'm like, disappointment, man. And it's because we're on different levels, and I wasn't fully able to appreciate the different levels. Now, of course, reading your word, prayer, Bible is not the same as maybe cleaning floors and cooking. There's slightly differences, but the behavior nonetheless is still the same, right? And here's the thing, okay? I didn't want to become a trainer for the individual person because I don't want to become a crutch, and also as well because I felt like this should be basic. You should know this, right? I don't want to be in that power dynamic. I don't want to be in that situation, which Owen's also said he doesn't want to be in a situation where he's having to train somebody from flat. Owen said the same thing. He does not want to have to train somebody from flat. I totally get it, right? Nobody wants to necessarily have to train somebody from flat. I get it. These are basic things that you think the person should have. They don't have it. So what are we going to do? And this is where you have to be very careful now, because now you have to think about your behaviors. So do you know what I did? Let's keep it a buck, man. I don't play and I don't lie. I started distancing myself. And I told you guys already about this. Part of it was emotionally abusive, because when you begin to distance yourself and then you start to air for 2-3 days. Man, I remember this day. I look back and I'm like, yo, fam, what the frick? Yeah, sometimes I'll air for 2-3 days. Sometimes I look at the conversation. We'll talk on the phone. I'm like, this is not even deep, man. Well, I don't need to be here, man. This is wahala. I'm talking about. I'm not even enjoying the conversations. Like, and what you don't realize is you start to become temptable. What you start to realize is it becomes parent and daughter, parent, father and daughter relationship, where you're telling the person off or berating a person, or there's no real positive inform. Now, of course, I would positively reinforce when she did do it, but the times when you didn't do it, I was much harder. So even if I'm positively reinforcing you, at other moments when you don't do it, I'm like, how are you not doing it, man? Like, come on, don't celebrate other things and then don't. And I can always say that's, of course, there were other aspects to this thing, and I feel like there were some parts where I was justified. But the overall scheme of it, when I look at it, this is not the loving that we are talking about. This is not the loving behavior you should be moving in. This is not the loving way you should go about it. Now, I think personally, it might have been a little bit unyoked anyway, but it is what it is, right? The way that you go about it. Why stay in a relationship then? Why not leave, coach? Right? Instead, you stay and then you do this. Do you catch what I'm saying? Right? All right, let's go through more of what he was saying. Okay. So the last part of the clip. Let's play it. With one. Okay, sorry, apologies. Let's go back to what she just said. She just said, obviously, hopefully he's not on my back. And I remember a situation with the ex where she said something very similar. It's like, you're always on my case. And it's like I said the same things. Oh, I've got high estimations for you. No, I don't have high estimations for you. That's not the truth in its entirety. I'm frustrated by your lack of ability. And that's the truth. I'm frustrated by your lack of ability and ability to execute. And I don't feel like you're on my level. That's the honest truth. That's the honest truth. That's what I was feeling. And I believe that's what probably O is feeling. I'm frustrated, not because I love you so much, But because I'm looking at you and I'm wondering, why can't you just do it? Why can't you just do it? Why can't you just achieve this thing? Why can't you just say you're going to cook the salmon and do the salmon? Because I did it. There you go. Because I did it. There you go. Because I did it. Because your measuring stick is by your own measure. Look, you are probably one of the hardest people on yourselves, right? Because you had to do it all alone. There's probably a little bit of resentment there that you had to do it all alone. No, I don't find any resentment that I had towards learning the Bible by myself. I didn't mind. I like that. But the truth is, I'm quite an individual person. Anyway, I'm a bit more of a lone wolf. That part I resent because that part is not necessarily my nature all the way through. I've had to be an independent child from young. So that part is the resentment that feeds into that moment where you're talking about, I want you to read your Bible, da, da, da. But now, same thing for O. I bet you if we go back into there, you're going to find some resentment that is there that's feeding into this moment of, I have high standards and I expect you to live up to it. And it's you got so much potential. And da, da. No, don't get twisted. You have got so much potential. A woman, he can see it. But that's not the right of fullness of your frustration. Right? Some of it is your projection. And you have to be very honest about it. You have to be very honest about it so that you can learn from these things, right? Let me bring that back in. All right, cool. Let's go a little bit further on now. I want to go to this part where he talks to the guys because I think that's really important as well when he talks to the guys about the situation. Okay.
Been more like eye-opening.
It's tough to even be there when you have
A little bit.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, guys. Sorry.
feel.
I'll come back to that. Sorry. He literally was going to say about the situation because he's talking about that he feels like he's babying her, basically. Yeah, he feels like he's babying her. And that in itself is what I'm talking about, that contemptible energy and the fact that you're going to feel resentment towards her because you feel like you're having to baby her. That in itself is not going to help your relationship. That in itself is actually going to breed more problems in your relationship long term, right? Because you can't do something that you just don't want to do. You can't force someone to do it. Anyway, let's get back onto this. Let me get back onto this. Let's get back onto this. Man, this is tough, man. Trying to find the right clip be doing me dirty. Here we go.
Been more like eye-opening.
It's tough to even be there when you have somebody you feel like you're kind of babying.
And again, I can totally understand what he's saying because I felt like that too. But again, like I said, first and foremost, I did feel like we were unequally yoked because I think we're in different places. And sometimes when you're at different maturity levels, just because you're spiritually mature doesn't mean you're emotionally mature as well. You know what I'm saying? That's another answer in itself. But, you know, yes, you can feel like he feels like he's babying her, and that is what I'm saying. So does O have a point? If truly she, and again, if truly that's where she is, that she lacks those basic skills, then I do understand where he's coming from. I do. Right? I do get where he's coming from.
That's how I truly feel.
What is the deeper thing? Is it the effort level? Is that the same?
Yeah, and then you can't talk about effort. I mean, then it's really just effort.
Is it effort?
So he just said here again, for him, it's the effort, right? And funny enough, again, I reside with this energy because that's what I thought it was. I thought she's just not putting effort in. You can do this. You know, you want to do this, and yet you get distracted by other things. Why are you doing it? Like, focus on this. Just focus on that thing. That's why I said, I wonder if part of what he said is actually true, because that's exactly how I felt when I was in that situation. I'm not saying I handled it right, because that's why I can call it out, because I know exactly how I shouldn't have handled it, and I know how exactly I did handle it, and I didn't handle it right at all. Okay. Now, there were things that the person was doing that it seemed like they lacked the basic skill in this area, and it felt like the person was not trying. But again, it's because of my level of effort myself. If I spent 2 years studying the Word of God by myself, just dripping dripping in the word of knowledge of God into my head, and just getting to know God personally like that, I'm gonna view you as in you should be doing the same. Or I was expecting a certain level of revelation from the person, and I wasn't getting it. I was like, I'm not saying come and preach sermon, but give me something to work with here. And that's exactly what I felt at the time, right? I don't think I was wrong for that. I think I was actually right for that. But again, how you go about it is important. Now, if that's correct, and he's also correct about the way that Katina's going about it, right? Then I can also understand that he's feeling like there's no effort being put in. But also, what it means is the person just doesn't have your level of effort to do it the same way. They do not have the same grace to do it the same way that you're doing it. That's the honest truth. They do not have the same capacity to do it the way that you do it. You are a very unique person. And see, so what happens is you try to drag the person in a three-legged race, but they do not have the strength nor the energy to run alongside you in the exact same way. And now you're dragging them. And now their face is literally scraping along the floor because they cannot keep pace with you. What you're expecting from her in terms of the effort, she can't put in the same way you're doing it.
And then it's just life skills. It's like, I don't go to sleep in my house dirty. I mean, it's just not what you do. Not talking about anybody.
Now, that's his standard. That's fair enough. You don't go to sleep, you don't go to sleep without cleaning the house. Okay? Listen, I'm going to tell you this straight. Look, again, this is a case of letting her know, listen, hey, this is my standard, but if you drag her across the ground, she ain't gonna do it, bro. Now, there's a way to be authoritative without actually being a communist leader. There's a way to do it without removing democracy. There's a way to do it without removing a person's subjective will, and it's by leading, by serving, right? You see, if again, you lead by serving. What I mean by that is, as a man, if this is what you want her to do, yeah, when you did call her and she didn't come, okay, the next morning, like you did, you expressed to her, listen, I felt a bit hurt by the fact that you didn't come and join me because, I really want us to do this together, right? This is what I want us to do. I want us to both clean the floor, clean after our party's done, just so it's all done and we can go to sleep comfortably. This is what I really want to see us do, right? And you express the fact that how it means to you again. You see, remember, you remember, and it's unfortunate, whether you're fortunate or unfortunate, whether you look at it, men and women communicate differently. He's talking as if he's talking to one of the boys. He's talking as if he's talking to one of the people on his football team. He's not talking to a woman. You're talking to another man the way you're talking to her right now, fam, right? We don't need to see tears. We need to hear your emotive language. The reason why this is important to you, right? Because, and then when you see that, you encourage. So you let her know next morning, hey, look, do you know what? I didn't see, because Katina is not suspect. Katina doesn't seem abusive to me. Katina doesn't seem toxic to me. So if that's the kind of case, look, some people are toxic, so you don't have to play this game with them. But if you've got a genuine person, you explain what it means to you, especially to a woman. You explain what it means to you and explain how this emotively makes you feel. This is their language. This is how they understand things. And you let them know, hey, look, I would love for you to have been next to me yesterday. I know I ended up doing it yesterday myself because I can't sleep without doing it. But and on the next occasion, can you just join me? It would be really appreciative, and it would be part of our team making experience, and it makes me feel good knowing that my wife is beside me in the trenches with me. Now, that's the emotive language. Telling her telling her how you're telling her, sir, it's like how men talk to men. And same with women. When you are trying to talk to us as men, you use an emotive, flowery language. Okay, all right. It sometimes misses when you're talking about setting boundaries. You got to be strong and firm. Hey, babe, this doesn't work for me, right? The whole you shouting at me does not work for me. Okay, because that makes me feel hurt, and I don't want to feel hurt, and I'm saying this is my boundary. Don't cross my boundary, right? Simple as. It's okay. There's a way to address these issues, and he's not doing it right the same way I didn't do it correctly. Okay. I want to go to a little bit later on because I think when he says it's also the word as well, because the way he's interpreting the behavior and the feelings that he has is also very important.
The effort isn't being reciprocated, and he just feels defeated, being that we're so early on.
Wrong part, guys. Wrong part.
Where can I rely? When can I have my support from my wife?
So he's obviously interpreting her not doing cooking and cleaning as her not supporting him. Now, of course, he's uber traditionalist. He wants a wife that cooks and cleans, and he's gonna earn the bread. Now, someone might say, does he pay all the bills? I don't know if he does. You don't know if he does. So we know he has a house, whether it's his grandmother gave it to him or not, he has a house. Okay. Now, the next part is obviously, again, she is a working type of woman, but he also wants a traditional woman. Someone's got to budge. Either him or her. Someone's got to budge if this is going to work. It's up to them how to figure it out, but someone's got to budge in order for this to make it work, because someone needs to move from their post. Okay, someone needs to move from their post. Let me just put this here as well, because this was interesting as well. This was very interesting. Okay. All right. And this part here was really interesting because he starts talking. He starts talking about putting effort in, and I want you to just listen to what he says.
Like salmon, we haven't had salmon since we got married, and she keeps talking about she wants to cook it. She wants to cook it.
Pause. He says, obviously, we haven't had salmon yet. She keeps talking about why she wants salmon, but she hasn't cooked it yet. Ola reminds me of somebody who just wants action, action, action. If you say you're going to do it, do it. If you say you're going to do it, do it. He hasn't got any other button apart from if you say you're going to do it, make sure you do it. Don't say you're going to do it and not do it. That's his thing. Don't say you're not going to do it and not do it. That's his standard. He dislikes it, and I think he dislikes it more because, like I said, again, I think there's this contemptible attitude because he sees himself as playing the daddy role versus the daughter role. So there's even less grace for her. Even less grace, right? Listen to this.
So today I want to show her that I'm gonna put the same effort in as much as I want from her.
So you hearing what he's saying? I'm gonna put in all this effort to show her as I want that same amount of effort that I want from her, right? And I remember in my situation that I would, get deeper into my word, and I'll start talking to her about the word, and actually it would just kind of actually distance us even more, because what she then saw was, okay, he has this high standard for this particular area of his life. I can't match the speed. And I did little to, and not, well, I didn't do enough, I would say. Maybe not say little, didn't do enough to make her feel like it's enough, like you're good. I didn't make her feel like that. And I see O's doing the exact same thing. Her little show of effort in his eyes is not effort at all, which is how I felt. And yet we're missing the complete mark here because there is effort being shown. What needs to be done is cultivating the attitude. Where was my, last time we spoke about the words, yeah, like I actually went away and thought about it like it was deep, the way you said it. Like, what do you mean when you said that thing? What did you actually mean by that? I didn't do that. I didn't do that as much. I'm feeling very little I did of that. Do you know what I mean? The times where she showed some individual brilliance, I was like, ooh. But did I go in there again with positive reinforcement to encourage her to do more? Not really. Not really, because I always felt like it wasn't enough. And that's the problem. That's a problem. You feel like it's not enough because it's not your level. I don't like to say it, but it's the truth, isn't it? We can't lie to ourselves and be like, this is what it is. It's the truth. Like he does have a point, but in the point that he has, he's not going about it the right way at all. At all. Right? Listen to this. I want you to listen to this.
No shortcuts, so I'm gonna show you exactly how it's done, okay?
You hear that, baby? No shortcuts.
No
Yeah, I
shortcuts.
heard it.
Now, this is the part I can't rock with him on. I'm not about this life. But you hear that, baby? No shortcuts. Why are you atting her, bro? But again, it highlights the fact that this is what he feels is lack of effort. He feels that when she does shortcuts, when she delegates outwardly, which is what we saw later on when he says about you let your friends bring all the stuff to the house, whatever, okay? He doesn't see that as effort. He doesn't register that as effort. But again, fair point. But then you've got to be able to discuss that and bring that up in the right way and explain why it doesn't seem like effort. It's not linked to anything, a particular reason as to anything yet. It's just, I don't see that as effort. that in itself is dismissive, and it's painful to other person because they're not sure what the heck is going on, right? So do I feel like Owen's got a point? Of course I feel like he's got a point in terms of if you want to do more, right? Okay. But you know what? This next part, this is the last part, one of this plays part, right?
So you can't start with shortcuts.
I heard him.
I want my wife to be on the same page as me. Stop waiting for me to tell you something. Just do it. That's effort.
I said he sees effort without it being told. Okay, so like I don't want to have to tell you. It's just be effort, and I'm saying you got to be very careful of that. You got to be really careful of that because that can also lead to a bit of abuse right there. Because you want her to read your mind. You want her to read your mind and know exactly what she should be doing and what effort is. Like, how can she do that? She can't read your mind. It's got to be communicated, and it's going to be communicated effectively so the person can receive it. There was another piece I want to just bring back to the boys' chat. I wrote it down and I said, this is a little bit scary, right? Because the rhetoric and the sound of it sounded just like what I know, okay?
I get so irritated because in this different situation, I would have walked away. If somebody was you wouldn't.
So he says obviously he's going to walk away if it had been another situation, which, okay, I get. Okay, I get it. At the end of the day, if you're in a relationship where you weren't married, you could actually walk. And I'd have preferred that, right? Rather than being in a situation now where it looks like, fam, you're having to trounce her at every given opportunity and you're criticizing her very heavily. That's not the look we're looking for. Listen to this, though.
Where can I rely? When can I have my support from my wife? Mm-hmm. My feelings are really high for Katina, so that's why I get so irritated because
he said his feelings are so high, that's why he got so irritated. Do you know what that sounds like? And it's a wild thing, but just listen to the pattern of this. I hit you because I love you so much. Only because I love you so much, that's why I hit you. It just reminded me of that. I'm not saying that's what he's saying, but it reminded me of that. I was like, I'm gonna leave it there. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you guys a lot. So, little black, you know what